Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. I know folks are joining in as well. So we'll just start off with the introduction. So this is Tableau Talks user group. It is all about giving voice to our community rising stars who have been there sharing their work, they have been building all the great visualizations and helping others throughout the community. And we are here to just help them share their story. So that is why we are here. So we'll just talk about a bit about our mission and vision. So that has been when we started. It has been all about to support the new or unsung data heroes that have been here helping everyone and to help them present their data story and their interest and to also serve as a platform for speakers all around the world who have not got the opportunity to sign up and take the stage. So that's why we came up and we started all of this. Just to introduce you, our team. So this is me, Prasan Prem. I am a Tableau visionary, a Tableau social ambassador, and currently I'm working with senior product engineer at MXGBT. Also, we have Vani Agarwal. She is not here right now. So she is also a Tableau social ambassador for continuously 2 years, and she is a data visualization engineer at Expedia Group. Then, if you know already, Ansula Jan, she is a content creator. She has a great YouTube channel. If you haven't checked out, please do that. And she is a Tableau social ambassador and a data visualization expert at. Following, you can see Avinash right here with us. He's also our co-leader. He has got 2 times Viz of the Day award and the TUG speaker as well as a senior BI developer at Optum Ireland. So this is our small team who have been working throughout to bring all these events, and I'm very glad that all of you are here. So please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much for all of you for joining the today's event. So let me introduce the speakers. So today we have two amazing speakers. First one is Harim Jain. So she's gonna present and talk about how to connect social challenge to Tableau data visualization, and she's gonna cover some comprehensive guide that explores the processing of integrating social challenge data into the Tableau. And next, maybe yeah, and next we have Mehras. So he's gonna talk about the utilization of a Tableau prep and explore the data utilizing with the Tableau desktop once we process the data. So with that, I can hand over to Harim. So she's gonna talk first. Thank you.
All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. And this is Harim, and I'd love to thank you so much for President Avinash for a great opportunity to talk about things in Tablet Buddy. So today, I'd love to talk about how to connect a social challenge to tablet data visualization as a consultant and the tablet enthusiast. So let's start it. Today, I will share mainly how to convey the message with the data visualization. And those messages are all about like a social challenges, such as like a sustainable development goal and how I get the inspiration and how to design and how to develop in technically in Tableau. And I will share some tip and tricks and we can have like Q&A session about how to design and how to develop. So let me get started. This is my Tableau portfolio whenever you click on my profile in Tableau. And for me, as a data consultant and data enthusiast, I totally believe the purpose of the data visualization is effectively communicate information in engaging manner that capture the eyes. So most of the my visualization is more likely infographic and something like a complicated and colorful or dynamic. And as you can see, most of the data visualization I put on my profile is all about like social challenges, such as climate change, poverty, education inequality, global risk, energy crisis. So there are so many topics we can actually convey a message, but for me, those are the really my top passion and what I need to and what I have responsibility to share the things inside. So let me gonna share my profile and let's see. So those are my profile, and as you can see, some are like eye-catching or colorful and dynamic, interesting design. And I want to share you one my dashboard. So this is the one of the dashboard I developed like in a couple of months ago. And actually, this is all about how you can track and find out the ESG tracking. For example, if a country, this, the total message of this data visualization is if a country, if or a government manage the economic development assets, then are these countries are really happy, or is there any correlation between the happiness and like ESG context for the economic development? And the answer was yes. And this is a kind of the correlated dashboard. But what I want to bring you here is here, whenever we click on the HPI or HDI or Gini index, the main data visualization is like dynamically moving. And most of people can think about it and can imply what actually this is mean. From the start, I wanted to bring up some idea like I want to convey the eye design of the shape into the tablet visualization because the data set was really formal, complicated. There's lots of the Berkeley data set, but I wanted to share what if like there's no meaning or I don't need to actually convey the data into a normal way. So I wanted to bring up like capturing insight and I want to bring up the eye design. So I asked myself how to visualize this impactful effect. So I give it an answer. Well, why not? I can design like an eyeball shape. And the second question to myself, how to apply the eye like a radial function to my chart? And so I got an answer as per the experimental things. First, develop a circular radial chart, and then I need to give a salting effect that making the chart is dynamically rotating. And third, I need to give them the prime interaction to make them visual more effectively. So this is like a final like visualization and this is how it actually working. So whenever we click on the specific like indicator, then as you can see, the eyeball shape is like blink and you have to or you can actually get your eyes on it. So this is like my purpose. From here, the benefit of the utilizing the radial bar chart, especially using the Tableau, is simultaneously present a large number of the cases in a single view. Even about the right side of the data visualization, it including over 150 the country information about it. But here, as you can see, all of the information are already like well informed. And the left side one is like climate action, especially using the UNDP data set. But as you can see, we cannot read all of the data in countryside, but you can see from this the left side there's like a so many red portion, but as you move into the right side, and as you can see, like a lot of the green portion. So using the radio bar chart, we can actually can apply like lots of the visual effect, especially to show the ratio or various elements or kind of the interesting visual the presentation of the data set. So this is like how I get the inspiration and get some idea into the data visualization. I wanted to convey a message that we are looking at this ESG tracking with our eyes and we are able to capture how it is. So I decided to capture meaning as I will design. And this is my second inspirational like development using the Tableau. While I work with a World Economic Forum previously, our topic and our things were how to deal with the cybersecurity, especially the terms of the context from business and technical people view. So we wanted to tell the context like from business view and from the technical like tech people's view, the views are might be different, but the main concept is our cybersecurity is going to be like the second brain in the near future. So we wanted to ask ourselves, and I asked myself, how to effectively and how to impactfully visual this concept into Tableau. And we figure out, and I figure out, what if like we can apply like a brain shape because there's a two shape and the brain is working like a, and as we say, like a cybersecurity is going to be like a second brain. And the second question I ask myself is then how we can actually make a brain like assemble chart. So this is the answer I figure out. So bring up and develop the brain shape. First, what we need to do, what I need to do. I need to design and develop the brain shell. One of each shell, individual shell and cell have to be like assembled and they can be a part of one side of the brain. And as you can see, each one of the single brain cell has to be positioned in the right X and Y following the rule. And then after that, I actually give them like a proprietary information. The right side going to be like a cyber people, the left side going to be like business people. So we can divide the information like a two separate part, and also give them like specific information using the X and Y and specific parameter and indicator. And then how to make this two brain side. I developed the brain cell and I assemble them by the positioning. I give them the information and then using the flip. So now finally we have a two separate but one whole brain design. So I want to give you an example of the interactive part. So this is the final like result of the brain shape of data visualization. So as you can see, I will share with the link in the PowerPoint. So if you click on the link, you can see go to the Word Economic Program data set, the data center. And if you click on it, you can see the dynamic interactive, especially using the Tableau. So here, cyber leaders and business leader both have like a really high like answer of the question about it, but from specifically some different view, like cyber leaders has a less, a grade on the question compared to the business leader. And if I want to see the case of the business leader, we can click on it and we can see the things inside and we can go back to the home and we can see how this brain shape is working correlatively, especially about the topic of the cybersecurity. Yeah, so this is like interactive link I wanted to share with you, and this is the second design I wanted to share. So when we have the idea, then we have to classify them and we have to make them like really a small portion of the slice, and we have to develop from the small thing to the big thing. So for example, if I wanted to bring it up to the brain shape, and if I really wanted to bring to the develop from the top to the bottom, then I might be fail. But we decided to make a approach like, okay, first, like I need to develop the brain cell first, like one individual one, and how to do that. And then like stack them and assemble and position them in the X and Y and then like flip so we can actually get the kind of brain shape design. And the third one I also get the inspiration and I wanted to convey the message using like a human organ because eye and lung and heart and brain, those are really like iconic, like a message we can actually convey and also really important organ that we cannot live without it. So this is so inevitable. That's why I always love to get some idea from our human organ. And this is one of my favorite Tableau visualization using the lung design. And during the COVID period, I really wanted to bring up like a bright and positive message. And they're already a good data source, especially published from the World Economic Forum, and they have a really great data source and visualization. So as you can see, normally the organization, they publish a visualization in a really easily and universal interpretation. But for me, I wanted to bring up like a little more complicated but eye-catching design. So I got an idea to bring up the lung design and I developed a lung design shape using the Tableau. So first of all, how to visually striking the presentation, especially convey the message. I got an answer like, well, during the COVID and lots of people got suffered, but end up we had to rebreathe. So I wanted to bring up the message with the action of the breathing. So I concluded to make a lung design. And the second part, then this is a complicated, how to design the lung. So if you think about the only think about the lung, then it could be really complicated. How can I make a lung shape like wing and the bloodline? But if you have to think about a really a small part to assemble and then and then make a whole picture, that's gonna be much better. So as you can see from this lung shape, I really wanted to bring up like this wing design, but like each right and left side of the lung. But lung and all of the things cannot be a kind of the one bird shape, but they have to have each individual cell and shell which has like a right information. And I wanted to bring up the what kind of risk are really impacting during the COVID. So I developed this design of the lung, especially for the part using the Voronoi chart. So normally the Voronoi chart like a full circle or like square or anything, but it's normally not like this wing design. So I made a trick and tip, something like I duplicate and triple the data set. So inside the one sphere, one circle, there's a one same data set, but like they are placed like a 3 times. So, and then I just like give it a filter and using only the one side. Then we only got the 1/3 of the information from the Voronoi chart. And then using that 1/3 part, I adjust the height and the width and then like flip it using the exactly same way. So this is how I get actually the long shape from the right and left side. So even the right side, left side, those are a little bit different per data source because the right one is like fallout for the word risk, and the left one is a concern risk about the concern, but I could manage to develop them as the size of the risk and the color by the top risk topic. And the one more steps left. I need to actually connect this lung and this risk into the using the bloodline. But actually, there's no way actually we can actually throw the bloodline only using the tableau. But think about it. We don't need to actually limit ourselves, just following the illustrator or like a real bloodline. But we can actually use our creativity. So Tableau, we can use the Sankey chart. And Sankey is really powerful if you use it well. And we can also flip it. So I just decided to make a Sankey chart using the likelihood and the impact on the right side and likelihood on the left side. So I developed them and then like a flip it. So finally I could make them almost like a lung shape by using all different design. The lung, each of the lungs are developed by the Voronoi chart, but using the different data source. And then inside the bloodline, they're using the Sankey chart, but also in the different data source. So finally, we can see how this is developed. So I want to show you using the Tableau portfolio. So here is the final cut with data visualization. And as you can see, I also give them like information per global risk topic. So if I click the blue one, this is all about like economic part. And you can see that during the COVID-19 crisis period, most of the crises and risk are all about like economic because of the recession and poverty got like more upset and the disaster going to be like more worse. And interestingly, during the COVID, the environmental thing was like not that risky because we didn't actually pollute the earth like before. So environmental was like small portion of the risk, but mostly geopolitical research a lot, and the major part of the majestic part was like societal and economic part because lots of people got like suffer from the like unexpected risk and especially economically societal. And about this visualization, what I really like also is we can actually see the risk in the context of the terms. So short term, as you can see, the pink part, the societal part are like a highest risk from the short term, like in short term. But in the midterm, of course, the as you can see, the blues are on top. It means like economically, it is really impacting, and those are so true. From the start of the COVID, like societal things are really a huge problem. Like people got suffer a lot, but during the recession, we got really impacted a lot, like a high interest rate, and so many economic things are like happening in the global world. We got like suffer from huge like a depression about a recession. And really interestingly, about the long term after the COVID, the geopolitical issues are really like high. So this is a pretty like makes sense because right now we are under like a current like situation on the war, Russian war on the Ukraine, and everything that World Economic Forum really intended to analyze was pretty well, and this visualization is still workable, in terms of the data visualization and data analysis. And those are the left one is like risk wave the data visualization, but those are working like pretty similarly and talking about the data and risk, how to convey the message using the Tableau. And I also want to share one of the interesting data visualization I used for the climate change and energy crisis. So the main idea is like there are so many great dashboards, especially about the business concept of the KPI dashboard, and we'd really highly love to use this like formal and interactive and easily interpretable dashboard because we are not the only one who have to interpret it, but normally most of the people who need to use the dashboard is not a data people, but mostly say C-level of the people or like the main users. So I got to extract a really great data set from the IEA, and IEA or IAEA Arena, the UN energy related agency. They really share lots of great data source, so we can actually use them really freely. So I interpret the methane tracking data set and using a dashboard, but I feel like what if like I want to bring a more like impactful message in here, because people doesn't know about the methane is like one of the great source of the greenhouse gas, but methane is like a second largest portion of the greenhouse gases, and the CO2 is really a most important thing, but methane is also kind of the really important thing, which is like really devastating the climate change and really make the things in seriously in long term. That's why I wanted to bring it up. And the message I wanted to convey is like, yeah, so methane is actually the melting the earth. So what if like I design like an earthing effect, like a melting effect, especially to the earth, and especially the land and all of the land are like our like usable land is like shrinking due to the extended the sea level. So yeah, this is what I wanted to design. And this is the result. So as you can see from the top part, the ice cream hat is like methane emission per country. So as you can see, this is pretty fast, but the China is like one of the top country which is like emitting the methane. And the bottom, the ice cream cone is like methane emission per category. This is pretty fast. So I will share the one of the static data visualization. So here, the top is like a methane emission from the country. The bottom is like methane emission from the category. As you can see, interestingly, agriculture take almost like 40%. That's why lots of people, especially like a climate change enthusiasts or like a people who really care about the environmental thing, they really ask us and make a promotion that we need to reduce the meat consumption, especially beef, because not only about beef, but the related sources like a carbon emitting, greenhouse gas emitting, the supply chain is highly related to agricultural thing. Beef and the livestock cannot come like at one moment, but they have to eat lots of the grass bed and like corn, and they have to use lots of land. That's why only about the agriculture really like emitting lots of the portion of the methane. And here, so normally we can have a full like course, but after the methane's like devouring, it has a effect of the like melting and devoured. And as if I click on agriculture, then I can see only the part of agriculture. And if I want to see the energy in other and waves, then it also has a like like interesting like visual effect. And yeah, so this is like how we actually can create a data visualization into a really interesting way because per people, like some people might like or have a preference on infographic way, like eye-catching one, or some people might have a better preference on the static view or something like a more formal dashboard. But we don't have to, only like choose only one way, but we can choose whatever we want per the types and per the purpose. And this is like one of my favorite data visualization as well. And as a climate change enthusiast who has a background of nuclear power, definitely the nuclear power is one of the great resources, especially like to meet the capacity and the high demand of the electricity. So as you can see, I wanted to bring the positive and bright message that nuclear power is like a purely light in the world. Of course, there's lots of the pros and cons, especially about the disaster and hazard part. But what I wanted to bring it up is like how many actually share of the nuclear power is like supporting the global energy capacity, and how many countries are actually rely on the nuclear power. So as you can see, I don't want to say like political things, but after the war of the Russian war, lots of people are banned to use the Russian gas. And the country like Germany, they are not totally reliant on nuclear, which means they don't have any nuclear power plant. So their like appliance and electricity and gas are like tripled. So this is a kind of disaster for the people, especially who are really highly related on their like appliance and like their cash flow. So I don't want to say things are in serious way, but this is the way how we can actually imply the message using the data visualization. And okay, and this is like one of my like project with our client as a consultant in Cures Canada, and this is really a one good example that we can develop a dashboard which is really formal, informative, but also eye-catching design. This is like how I develop together with the Global Tobacco Control Progress Hub using the Johns Hopkins data set. And Ash Canada was our client. They asked us to develop like a meaningful, eye-catching, but informative dashboard. So from the start, we really got confused, like how to combine these two concepts, like either eye-catching or informative, or what is what. But we figure out how to deal with this. So as you can see, using the radial circular radial chart is really powerful to bring the whole data set and display lots of the information in one status and at one capture side. So you can see on the left side, lots of things are in on the right way and really eye-catching way, colorful. But in the right side, you can see like static and informative information. Whenever you click and filter the information, then you get what you want. So I will give you an example about how to use this dashboard. So this is the FTCC dashboard using the Johns Hopkins dataset. As you can see, we have 3-year filters from 2016, 2018, and 2020. And interestingly, all of the things are correlated to this article. As you can see, select an article number. So right now, if I select the article 14, then interestingly, this chart is like rotating and article 14 comes on the top. So every people or users can easily catch we are right now looking at the article 14 and all of the information in here is related to the article 14. So about the article 14, the rank of the article 14 is here displayed and correlated region is displayed. But if I want to see like same income level as a grouping, then same income level with this article 14 is displayed. And also human development index, then same human development index is displayed. And for example, if I want to see the country, the article 19, if I click on the 19, then 19 is rotating on the top and all of the things are correlated to 19. As you can see, the case of the Afghanistan is ranking on the number 2 and ranking 2, especially the peers by the Human Development Index. But if I change it to the region, then the peer region is like ranking 3. Even though Afghanistan is like pretty high, it means Afghanistan is like under risk or need to be tracked down a little bit more precisely, especially about tobacco uses. And we can also, of course, like filter the countries. So if I want to compare to the like Afghanistan to another country, for example, Canada, where I live right now, so click on the Canada and click on the Canada for the case of the 19. Canada is like ranking 1. Wow, pretty high, right? And for example, about Article 5, I want to click on Article 5, and Article 5 is rotated and on the top. Yeah, it's still pretty high. And if I want to changing to the income level. If the case of the Canada with the same income level, I want to see how it is actually. So yeah, but same income level is pretty low, like ranked like 8, but still lots of countries are on the high risk about it. So this is a really a good example that a little bit complicated, eye-catching, rotating, radial, colorful, but okay, people can understand it. And even though it's really hard, you have lots of background information on the right side, so you can get whatever you want, especially per filtering and parameter. So yeah, this is like how I explained those one. We have lots of filter and parameter. And personally, I'm the developer who normally prefer to develop a little bit like complicated because I want to give the experience to the user. I want user to explore a little bit and I want they think about twice or over twice or 3 times or 4 times to how to interact it, how to connect on how to get the data set. Because even it's like UX and UIs are really important, but the right UX and UI, if they really intend to get the right information, they will easily get it. So this is the great advantage of the power, especially the powerful part of the visualization using the Tableau. Tableau is like pretty flexible. We can design and we can use it like Adobe, or we can use it like really a great visualization, like to develop the infographic, but also we can develop like a really formal and informative dashboards. I really love this part of Tableau. So I really wanted to bring up a kind of technical part, but right now this visualization is like under great development, so I couldn't share it. But yeah, those are like one of my sections with Tableau Buddy, and I really appreciate it so much. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask me.
That was a great presentation. Like, I really remember some of these visualizations and some of these which you shared. Like, you've done the work that's just phenomenal. So I'm glad that you were able to join us and share your story. And guys, if you have any questions, feel free to drop here. And Harim, I will I would request you to just share your Tableau public profile in the
Yeah, sure.
chat so that
Yeah.
if anybody wants to go in later, just check it out. That would
Hari,
be great.
Hari, my to tell you this, I really love the stunning visuals that you have been created so far. So especially the brain and lung cells. So those are really amazing. So lot of great talent in you. So really appreciate for presenting those charts or maybe dashboards to all the people. So thank you again.
Thank you. Yeah, I show the links at the public and the links to you can go and get the information directly. Thank you.
Okay. So I think we don't have any questions right now.
Mhm.
Maybe they'll come up later, so we'll do that. Thank you so much, Harim. Thank you so much for sharing what you have been doing. It was great to hear you, and I'm sure everybody enjoyed it. So we'll move ahead now, and next we have Mehras Abdoli. So we met at Tableau conference as well. It was great, and we also played like once we went on to play FIFA, and he actually trashed me. So
Uh,
I got beaten very badly. So I'm practicing after that. So we'll connect once again. So okay, I'll hand over to Mehraz, and please take the stage. And excited to have you over here.
Thank you. And thank you so much for the icebreaker. There's a lot going on today. Let me share my screen first. Okay. Select, tap to share. Okay, here we go. You should be able to see my screen now. All right, are we good?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, awesome job, Harim. That was amazing. Also, thank you so much for presenting first. Right before the session I had some technical difficulties. Uh, I actually reached out to Prasan yesterday. So at my work, we are going to a reorganization and we had to apply for different jobs, and we are getting actually different performance tasks. And out of all these days, the performance tasks that I need to do are uh, due today, actually, right after this meeting. So I reached out to Prasan yesterday saying, hey, man, I need to log in. I need to do my presentation and I need to log off as soon as possible. Minutes before the meeting, I tried to be creative, and instead of creating a PowerPoint, I created a Tableau story with my presentation. And right before the meeting, I shared a link with Prasan saying, hey, this is the link. And as I was reviewing it, I realized some of the pictures and some of the slides disappeared. So, and this is like 4 minutes before the start. So I log into, tell Prasan that this is happening, whatever, total embarrassment. And then he's like, join us. So I joined the meeting and I'm like, this happened. Harim, can you please go first so I can fix these? So apologize in advance if something is out of place, no excuse, but as they always say, expect the unexpected. So with all of that, let's start streamlining with Tableau prep by me. Um, so the question is, why Tableau prep? We know that analysts actually spend a lot of time cleaning, reshaping, transferring their data, right? So why do we waste time on that? How can we actually utilize prep to speed up this process? And it's not only about cleaning, reshaping, transforming. Tableau prep also helps you with the data refresh on your Tableau products. And also it helps you with the ad hoc requests. It's also super cool. So why not? So the agenda for today, we're going to talk about how to examine data with Tableau prep. We are going to talk about how to clean and actually validate data with Tableau prep. We're going to talk about how to design data flows and some tips about creating data flows. And then we're going to talk about some cool things that you can do in prep. And I totally got this number 4 idea from Ken and Kevin's session in Tableau conference. So let's just start with the first thing, how to examine your data. So Tableau prep, using Tableau prep, you can gain insight into the structure and the quality of the data that you have. Just like Tableau, you're using a VisQL. So pretty much whatever you try to query, you're actually seeing it. So it's so much easier to understand what is going on with your data. You have 3 options when yes, you can see my mouse. You have 3 options when you're examining your data. You can use the profile pane. Pretty much each field is going to have a profile with their name, data type in the corner, different values. You usually get a super cool distribution of your data as a histogram. So this is a profile pane. You can also see it in a spreadsheet view. The other option, which is data grid, you can also see it in a format that you only see the column. So it's very good in terms of like resorting the fields. Sometimes you want to see some fields in the beginning of your data, or you want to see some of the fields next to each other. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of examining your data. This is the canvas that you actually create your flow, and all the changes that you do to your data are going to be documented on the changes pane. Also, there are super cool little icons everywhere in your flow, and in each profile pane that shows you what you actually done in that step in the flow, or into that field, or actually everything that you did in that flow. You also get immediate insight into how many fields do you have and how many rows do you have. Like comparing this with something like R, you need to like type all those kind of things to get like summary of the data, get the head, get the tail, all those kind of things to get what you need. So talking more about examining the data here, I'm showing some example of what you can get actually with this visual interface of Tableau prep. It actually helps you easily identify some of the problems that you potentially have with your data. For example, if you look at the first picture that I have here, it's so easy to identify the nulls because they always are on the top of your numeric field. It's also easy to identify the outliers and unexpected values. So if you look at the little arrow that I put here, there was actually a negative value in the number of test takers in the data set. So immediately that number showed up on the top, so you can immediately see the unexpected values. In the next example that I have, you can quickly see the data type. You don't need to type anything to get back the data type. You see the unique values in that field, and you see the changes that you have done. Tableau Prep also, you have options to look at the detail view, or you can see a summary view. If you choose the summary view, Tableau Prep shows the distribution of data by showing you a histogram. So you can quickly see how the distribution of your data. Another example that Tableau Prep makes it easier, makes it super easy to examine your data is the searching and sorting options that you have. Again, no coding here, one click option. You can choose to search. Let's talk about, like, if you're searching for a string, you can search what contains, it starts with, ends with, does not contain. So all of those without need to code. Think about all the time that you can save. Also, you can sort by different options. You can sort by count, or you can sort by domain. Count would be practical when you want to see, like, okay, I want to see the let's say mode of my data, or you want to sort by domain because you want to see, like, data by alpha, for example. Next slide, we're talking about how to highlight relevant values. This is another super cool feature of Tableau that, let's say I want you to focus on this little pink box that I have here. In this field, this is the state field. I selected Arizona. And as you can see, all the related value to Arizona are highlighted in every single part of the data. So at the bottom part, you can see the data grid version of all the identical values. And in other fields, we are seeing the related values. And just like Tableau Prep, if you hover over different things, there's actually a built-in tooltip that gives you information. So this is not live, but if this was live and I selected one state and hover my mouse over different things, I get the count of related values, and I get the percentage of them in the data. And you can also do control click to say, let's say that you pick 2 states, or you pick the state and you pick the year and get the relevant values. Remember that if you want to do something similar in Tableau, you actually need to build your dashboard, create some probably filter actions to be able to click on things, control click, and get the insight that you're looking for. You are making, cleaning, transforming, all those kind of things. You're also analyzing and examining your data. So this tool is a standalone of a tool that is actually could be used for analysis too. You don't need to always use it to clean your data to be able to do something with Tableau actually. So moving to the next topic that we're going to talk about today is cleaning and validating data. So I just listed a few things. I created a word cloud of different things that I've done or I usually do with Tableau Prep. So the goal is to always create a data set that is optimized for analysis. I've seen people taking their data into Tableau and do all sorts of things. We know that if you have so many calculated fields in Tableau Prep, in Tableau Desktop, it can work against you in terms of performance. Also, it's very, very difficult to track the changes that you have made. You're going to end up with having like a bunch of sheets and calculations that and most of us don't really name them properly or don't comment them. So it's going to be very, very, very difficult to track the data cleaning changes. And that's why I made that tracking data cleaning change is the biggest and different color, because I really want to focus on that right now. When I joined the data science team at Houston Independent School District last year, I was assigned to do different things, mainly Tableau dashboards. But one of the goals was to actually document the methodology, because we wanted to update the dashboards on a yearly basis. And the goal was, if I move on, the next person should be able to perform all these projects without any problems. So Tableau Prep also makes it easier for you to actually document your cleaning changes. On top, we have a screenshot of a part of one of my flows, actual workflow that I did. As you can see, I have different fields here like campus ID, ethnicity, grade level, that I actually made changes, and I documented every single change that I did. So this was done in the cleaning step. If you remember in the beginning slide, I showed you the changes pane. You can also go and document the code that you have, just to keep track of your cleaning changes that you have done. A super cool feature of Tableau Prep is something called preview in Tableau Desktop. So many times when we clean data with different tools, we go through a lot of things. We output the data as CSV or Excel file. Then we take it to our visualization tool and we start visualizing things. Or if you're doing, for example, I don't know, R, you can plot some stuff and see what you're doing. Creating flows in Tableau Prep gives you this option to have this cool feature called preview in Tableau Desktop, to be able to visually see the changes that you have done after cleaning. For example, this is a screenshot of one of the Tableau community project called Prepping Data that I actually took. This was a data set for one of the weeks. And as you can see, we have a column called month with 12 values. We have different fields for cost. We have gas, electricity, and so on. So I did a quick visualization in Tableau to show you how the data looks like before cleaning, because we have a wide data set with 4 different columns. As you can see, if I visualize this is going to be very difficult to see any changes over the time and compare those values. So what is the solution? One of the things that you can do in Tableau Prep is actually pivoting. In Tableau Prep, you can pivot from rows to columns and columns to rows. This is what I did in this step was I had a wide data set. So what I did was changing the column to rows. So I wanted to have one column with the pivot names, one column with the pivot values, which I called it cost. And what I did was, before even outputting my final product, because you do different cleaning steps in your cleaning process, and you don't want to always wait to see what happened at the end. You want to see the changes after each step. So right after I pivoted this data, I clicked on preview in Tableau Desktop, and I was able to actually visualize this data. As you can see, the difference after the data was pivoted and cleaning. So super quick, I can use the preview in Tableau Desktop feature to actually support data validation here. All right, I guess I just continue. It's super quiet in here. All right, so next thing that we're going to talk about is designing prep flows. So by designing prep flows or data flows, you get a lot of benefits. You increase efficiency, you streamline your process, you increase the data quality, and you make it possible to reuse all the work that you have done for future projects. The screenshot that you see is a part of data flow that I created for one of the projects that we had called the student profiles. So it's super small to see, but pretty much we have 5 years of data that I had to do some scaffolding, join the data, bring it back as a union, do some cleaning, and then do more cleaning. So you can't see the rest of the flow here, but what I like to do is I want to usually have one step and do one cleaning. what I do is usually name the field that I'm working with and comment on the process that I've done. I'm not sure if that has to do anything with the performance of the flow, but this is the style that I work in. I just want to make it clear for everyone what I've done in each step. So remember the little branches, that's what we call them, in the corner here. And I'm going to tell you how I use my flows to actually fulfill ad hoc requests. Simply, all you have to do, go back to your flow, create branches, and then produce output as based on the request that they had. So just to give you an idea of what was the final product, I don't think I can share my screen. Let me switch real quick because I want you to see the final product of what we had. Entire screen. There you go. This is what I'm looking for. All right, I'm sharing my entire screen now. Hopefully this works. Here we go. So that flow was used to create, trying to full screen this one. That flow was used to create this dashboard. This is an executive dashboard of Houston Independent School District student profiles for 5 years. So I used that flow to create this dashboard. But we're not here to talk about visualization, so I'm just going to go back to my Tableau story. All right, continuing on designing prep with flows. Also, prep makes it possible to reuse the flow components or steps that you have. You can easily copy paste steps. You can easily copy paste changes that you have done to just make it easier for yourself to go through the cleaning process. So the screenshot that you see here was a component of the dashboard that I showed you in the last step. What I did pretty much was part of that dashboard, we needed to study the home languages spoken at home of students at HIST. So as you can see, there is 5 years of data union and made some, we needed to make some changes to prep this data for our analysis. Before I show you this, let's go back to this slide. If you remember, I told you to pay attention to this branch that we have here. And I'm going to show you how I use prep flows to fulfill the ad hoc request. So with my manager's permission, I use some of the recent conversation that we had about a immediate ad hoc request. So my manager was like, hey, can you create an Excel file for me? I'm getting resources ready. I'm going to drop them here. I need this by 1 p.m. And I got that message at 12:10. So you have like 50 minutes to get this done. What do? I open my Tableau prep flow, I create a branch, go through the requirements, and I was able to get this done by actually right before the deadline. You do the math. I don't know how many minutes it took me, but it was less than 1 hour. So having prep flows makes your life so much easier in terms of doing the ad hoc requests. Remember, when you create your dashboards, there are always some people that come back to you and Excel file, they're looking for the data behind the dashboards and all of that. And you want to be able to support them as needed because that increases the trust, right? So if you provide them with the data, they trust your products more. So this was an real example of an ad hoc request that recently came up. And I was able to do it right before the deadline. And it was actually many changes. Like we had back and forth conversation with my manager. Do this, do that. No, I want it like this. I want it like that. I'm like, no problem. I can do all of those things with prep. It's super flexible. All right. One more thing talking about so this slide is pretty much the same, but I'm showing you a different flow for a different projects that we had called teacher and staff profiles. So the previous one was information about student profiles. This is about teacher and staff in HIST. And this was another example of if you have your flow set up, you can always do the ad hoc request. And just to give you an idea, this was the second dashboard that I created using that prep flow. So what we have here, we have information about the teachers in each this is showing this the district level, but you can obviously filter for campus. And on the right side, we have info about the staff level. And this is 5 years of data. So just want to give an idea of how we're using these flows to create our visualization products. So finally, for this step, designing prep flows, some tips. It's very important to always ask yourself, okay, what type of data do I need? That's the most important question that you're going to ask yourself. What type of data do I need? What type of output do I need? Just like the ad hoc request that I had, back and forth, like, okay, how do you want this final output? And it's not always about, oh, do you want it in a CSV file or Excel file? It's about the shape that you have. Do you want it in a wide form, long form? Do you want different divisions in different tabs, or you want them to be in different files? How do you want me to actually shape the data? How often do I need to go and update this data? And how do I actually, if there are any data cleaning issues, which we know there are, how do I actually address those problems? All right, so I'm going to pause for a second before I move to the cool part of this presentation. Does anyone have any question, Prasan? Should I just move on? Can I hear someone saying something?
Yeah, it's quite almost silent here, but I think it's going well with everyone. Or
Okay. I just needed to hear that, Prasan. That's all. So we continue. Okay, so we talk about examining the data. We talk about cleaning and validating. We talk about designing prep flows, and let's talk about some cool things that you can do in prep. So one of the super cool features that I like is renaming multiple fields at the same time. So if you look at the screenshot that I have, for example, field like first underscore name, middle name, last name, all I had to do is come here and say, hey, I want to replace the test. What am I replacing? Replace the underscore name, and what do I replace it with? With a blank. And you can do different search options, contains, start, end, and you can rename them all three at the same time quickly. So I really think this is super cool. And look at that. You can add prefix, suffix, all of that. The next thing that we have is using the data rule to actually find the invalid values. Again, this is coming from prepping, one of the prepping data data sets. There was a field called country name. There are some problems here. By the way, Tableau Prep always gives you a little sign on top. This is the recommendation. And yes, they actually give you some cleaning recommendations that you can click on and, make changes to your data. So one of the cool things that I do is, as you can see, there are not any data rule assigned to the country name. As you can see, this is a string. But if I go and actually tell Tableau Prep that, hey, this is actually a country and region data role, it immediately gives you the invalid values, right? So Arab board is not a country. So I can actually go and identify those, sort them by invalid values, and make a decision. Do I want to remove them, rename them? So I think this is super cool. Data sampling, we always talk about that, and it's actually very important if you have flows that you have like a lot of rows. You can actually, in your input step, you can go and work with the sample size and sampling method. I think the default is like if you have 1 million rows, Tableau Prep handles no problem. If you have more, you might want to go, and depends on the complexity of data that you have, but you might want to go and specify how many rows do I want to see. If I want to see all of it. Also, you can work with the sampling method, quick select. I think it goes and look at the top N, and then random is it goes and gets a little bit from each data type that you have. Next thing is using parameters. Yes, you can use parameters and also in Tableau Prep. Two different pictures here. On the left side, I'm using parameters to actually do filtering in my flow. And on the right side, they recently added this feature that you can actually add a timestamp to your output file name this is going to be amazing because sometimes you do a lot of iteration, or if you have cloud management, you can automatically schedule running your flows, and like having something like this to actually put a date and time of the output is game changing. Another cool thing that I like, and this is coming from actually one of the actual projects that I was assigned to. This is a mock data that I created with Sample Superstore. This is super cool that you can actually also use parameters to split the data into multiple files. If you remember, I talk about the shape of the output that they always ask for us. Sometimes, for some reasons, they want to see it in different sheets. And for some reasons, the place that I work, this happens a lot. There are a bunch of schools under one region, and for some reasons they want all of it to be in one file but different tabs. So you can use parameters to do tasks like this. All right, so this is very important because I know different programming, you can use similar things, but take advantage of the visual calculation editor of Tableau Prep. There's a lot of hints and reference and description of the functions that you can use. So even if you're super new to data cleaning, coding, all those things, you have all the help that you need. Very similar to what we have in actual Tableau to actually use the calculation editor to make changes. LODs, calculations, level of details, it's a complicated, at least for me, topic in Tableau, but you can actually do this in Tableau Prep. And the cool thing is you have this visual interface that you can actually go and click on things and be able to create LOD calculations before even you take it to Tableau. So as you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm creating a rank field using the flight number. I don't know if that makes sense or not. I can sort it ascending or descending, and then I can group it by whatever I have. For example, let's group it by region. So it goes and rank it by region, by flight number. But some people are like, okay, so I don't really like this because it's not teaching me anything, or this is cheating or whatever, but I want you to think about like the time that you're saving, the accuracy that you have. And if you're like me and you want to learn, you can save time by one-clicking, doing the one-clicking operations, but you can always open the calculation editor and look at the amazing code that is behind the scenes. And before you even think, you're going to do these calculations without using the calculations editor. So this was some of the cool things and info about Tableau Prep. Thank you for your time.
That's really great, Mehras, because I really love how we could use the Tableau Prep for the data quality, especially so we can really see how many rows are null within a particular column. And with addition to that, the LOD is great because it is very useful in terms of the performance tuning if we just do everything at the prep and just utilize that. So very, very nice tips. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I really like that part. Like I started when I started my first job as an analyst. So like in our whole structure, somewhere using Alteryx, but I didn't got Alteryx because we didn't had that much licenses. So I saw that many of the folks were earlier using Excel to actually clean the data and all the transformation. And then I figured out, okay, there is Tableau Prep, which is actually free if you already have that tech stuff, and I can build my flows. That was really great, and it saved me a lot of time. Plus, the one thing that you showed that is really exciting. Like I haven't been using Tableau Prep for a while, but the way you showed, like how you can use parameter to split it into multiple fields and
Yeah.
get that as an output, that's really awesome. I didn't even knew that such things. And the best thing about Tableau Prep is that it is a tool that is right now evolving. So lots of features are coming every now and then. Every, so that's okay. So I think it was like great presentation, like a lot of takeaways for me and for the audience. And we have some questions. I think these are almost questions, but first
Prasan, I think, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
yeah. I think your
Maybe you're
voice
using
is a
your
little bit breaking, Prasan.
mic or something. But I
Okay.
heard you said
Yeah,
we have some questions, right?
Yes.
yeah. Now
If
it's
they're
fine.
not super difficult questions.
No, maybe not for you. So,
Good.
listen, do you want me to take it up? Like your audio
Yes.
is
Yes.
okay. Okay. So the first question is from Isha. So how do you document the flows? Do you have any ideas or best practices where we can easily document?
Document the
The,
flows in terms of like the cleaning steps that we done, or like where to save them actually.
Mhm.
uh,
Because I kind of talked about, maybe they can ask a follow-up question, but I kind of talked about like how to like document the cleaning steps, all those things that you have done. But in terms of documenting, I think the ideal situation is that you have a team, you have Tableau Cloud, and then you go and it doesn't matter if you actually do your cleaning on desktop or the cloud version, but the key here is once you're done in an ideal team, you can actually publish that data source and flow to your Tableau cloud space, certify the data sets, and then give access to people based on their permission so they can actually go and either like make necessary changes, or do anything that they want with the flow. So I think the ideal would be having a cloud space, publishing the flows on the cloud, also publishing the data sources on the cloud space within your team.
that's great. So I think the question is around the cleansing steps. Maybe if you have anything just to shed some light on that. The person Isha is looking.
Can you, yeah, can you give me
Uh,
some ideas or elaborate a little bit about the clean?
she's looking for the best way to document the cleansing steps, like how the flow is constructed. Maybe if there's any way.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
okay, so one thing that I can think of is as I mentioned before, you have different steps in your flow. So what I usually do, there is a little title of the cleaning step and there's a comment. Well, the comment is just like everything else. You have limited characters, but what I usually do, I try to do every single cleaning in one step.
Okay.
I usually use the title of the field. I usually use the name of the field as a title of the steps and write whatever cleaning that I've done. You can also open the changes pane and add more comment to it. But again, if you have the cloud version, there's some capabilities like commenting, tagging, those kind of things you can do in cloud. But if you really think you need more space to
Mhm.
document things, then open your text editor, Word document, something like that, put a screenshot, explain about the flows. I've done all of those things for the projects that I've done. I have comprehensive screenshots and all those kind of things that explains like what is the rationale behind it, the steps, and what is the purpose of that step. I'm
Okay.
not sure if I
Great.
answered your question.
Uh, yeah, I really love the labels or naming conventions that you mentioned because most of the times they answer a lot of questions for the people. So that's great. And
Yes,
the
and think
next
about if you have
question
like
is from
if you have a
Nadia.
lot of
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead. No, I was just going to say like, and that's very important. You have like if you have like many steps, you don't
Yeah.
want to end up looking at clean one, clean two, clean three, clean four, because when you want to go back to that one, because we make mistakes. Like I create a dashboard, there's something wrong with it. We need to somehow go back and fix the data. So I need to know exactly which step do I need to go back to address that issue. So naming is very important. um, Another cool thing that I do, for example, if you're joining two things, as a title, I
Mm.
write like which clause did I use to join, which field did I use to join them, and what type of join I use. And I like, was it the inner join, left join, right join? And I add that to the comment of the cleaning steps that I have.
That's great. Very helpful. So the next question is from Nadia. So what's the learning curve? So she feels like it's really useful. Is there any learning
Well,
path?
hi, Nadia. Thank you for being here. Nadia is actually is about to graduate in the same program that I went to. So
Oh, nice.
shout out to Nadia. So to answer to your question, all right. So once after I graduated from the MSDA program at UHD, I didn't have any background before I, data background before I get to this program. So there was a lot of courses, a lot of different softwares like Jump, SAS, Python, R, different courses. So it was a lot to learn. And when I graduated, I was like, look, very soon I'm going to find a data related job, and I need to be able to actually do those tasks. So I enrolled myself in Tableau Prep e-learning course, and I actually went through the course and I learned everything from e-learning. Once I got the foundation, I started taking some volunteer projects. At the time, I was not working fully in data, so I did some dashboards for them voluntarily. So I got some practice, and then finally, I found this amazing community project called Prepping Data, which they release like weekly data sets with a prompt and everything, so you can actually go and practice. So for me was e-learning, some practice, and then prepping data. And there's so many amazing, wonderful, legendary community members in the data farm that they are actually like, they have amazing content that you can actually go and follow.
Okay, that's
I
good.
don't want to say names because I don't want to forget anyone.
Yeah, so I think there is a lot of content and a lot of people who are giving some challenges on weekly and monthly basis. So that would be really good source to leverage some of the data sets and try to practice with the prep. So that would be great. And the next question that we have, okay, I think Prasanna already answered related to translation in Spanish. And the last question I can see is from Asravari Kadam. So how much data can be processed in this, like in terms of years or in data rows? So is that related to the volume of the data that you're asking, or maybe if we can. Oh, yeah,
I
maybe
think
if
she's
you can.
referring to the volume.
Oh yeah.
So very good question. Okay, so let's talk about real things. Number one, you have options in the first input step to, again, find your sample size and sampling method. So there's always that option. And sometimes when your data set is super big, Tableau Prep automatically sample the data for you to make sure like the flows, because remember, everything is like visual, right? So it takes time for all those steps, fields, everything to show up. So it's time consuming. So pro tip here, once you connect your data, if you see the orange sign that says data sample or something like that, know that actually Tableau Prep is actually doing this. So you can always go and maximize it, but then there's a compromise, right? So if your data is super heavy, like you're doing like our district has like around like 180 students. Think about it that you're doing that over like 5 years of data. So and then you have like different data sources to bring in together to create like one data source that you want to create for your dashboards. So I have not had any problem with like number of rows bringing in Tableau Prep. But again, if you're seeing that things are not loading or like things are slow, then you got to go back and sample your data. Or do cleaning in a step-by-step. For example, if I'm doing 5 years of data, sometimes it's time consuming, but I might want to go and do some task on year 1. And remember, you can copy paste the steps and do it for year 2, 3, and 4. And this way, like it's just faster. And in your input step, get rid of unnecessary columns. There's so many columns that you don't really need your analysis. Remember, one of the tips for the designing the flow was like, look what type of data you're looking for. There's no way that you always need to bring every single column that you have. So you can do all those adjustments to make sure your flow is not super slow. But again, I have not had any problems with prep handling monster data sets.
I think that answers the question. We have, I think, the last one here, right, Vinash, from Fazil.
Oh yeah. Sorry if I have missed that. Yeah, sorry. Is there a way to look up the values in a row, like how there is a VLOOKUP in Excel? It looks like Faisal looked for it, and it seems that function doesn't exist in prep.
Very good question. Very good question. So I want you to think about this differently, right? I know like programming languages, they have so many things in common, but I might be able to do XLOOKUP or VLOOKUP in Excel and do something else in Python or R. So you don't directly have those functions available, but there are different tricks that you can learn to do that. For example, if you're trying to do a VLOOKUP, pretty much what you're doing is joining, right? You have your main data set, then you have your key, whatever you want to call it. So pretty much all you're doing is use the common field in these two, join them, and then you're going to add that extra column that you're looking for and join your data set. So yes, you can do it, but you always need to come up with different ideas to perform that task.
Yeah.
So joining would be the answer to this question.
Okay.
Which is super cool because you have different type of joins, right? If you do inner join, then you can get everything that is in common. You can do a like left outer join to see like which rows are not available in second data set and are available in the first data set. So
yeah,
it gives you even a lot more options than X and VLOOKUP. So it's amazing. And you can visually see all those differences.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, because it would definitely give more options to elaborate or maybe explore through the data, definitely. And another question is that can you share some of the course names or sites where they can learn related to Tableau prep?
Yes. How do I share it? I don't know. I think my chat is not working, but I can share some stuff with y'all, and then you can share it with everyone.
Yeah.
I think I have 2 document resources from e-learning, like checklists and those kind of things. I can also provide the website to the prepping data challenges. So, and also any other community challenges. I'm one of the co-leads for EduVisors too. So if you're interested in educational data community challenge, join us. The more that you work with all these data sets, the more comfortable you get, because you want to be able to work with different scenarios to be able to have some ideas when things happen at work. You have like, oh, I've done this in this project. Let me go open it and get an idea. But I can definitely share those resources with y'all so you can share with everyone.
Okay.
Yes. So we'll share all these resources and all the links with a mail and also the recording if you want to go through it. So that will do. And I think it's good. Like we have covered all the question, and I think it was altogether a great session. Like 1 hour and more of 1.5 hours of learning. Like that's really great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much both for making some time for us today.
Absolutely. Well, wish me good luck with everything that is